not allow the press in. I mean, it was an incredible outcry from the people. I think this speaks to the tone of this nation right now. In the short term, I could not be more enthused or more optimistic about what's going to happen in November, based on the fact that people got up off their couches and did it.
Yeah.
The whole Chick-fil-A deal, it took one person to make a comment to say, why don't you just go buy Chick-fil-A on Wednesday, August 1, and that person is going to be here a little bit later tonight. And thank you for doing that, Mike. I knew we could have an hour and a half session, and I know we don't have an hour and a half session, so I want to move quickly. This morning we woke up to a VP pick, and that was the big news of the day. Paul Ryan's the VP choice. What does this do to Romney's campaign? What does this do to the pro-family movement? What say you about Paul Ryan?
Based on what I've been able to research, it appears Paul Ryan has an exemplary pro-life record. He's also, which to me defines pro-life, he has sponsored personal legislation in the U.S. Congress. On family issues, he's been very good. He's had a 0% rating from the Human Rights Campaign, which means he's made all the right efforts. 0% rating from them his entire career except 1 year. In 2007, he got 10% because he voted for ENDA, but that should not be overlooked. ENDA is the unholy grail of the homosexual lobby. It is the federalization of gay rights. They would take ENDA over gay marriage any day of the week. Because if you put ENDA into the U.S. Code, you've essentially just recreated all of the arguments and made them moot to defend marriage, because you've decided this is a protected class of people, like Sam was saying, based on U.S. law. So that is something that cannot be overlooked, and you should know Governor Romney has supported ENDA in the past as well. So and what's kind of hard for me to understand is how a guy who's been so right so many times gets one of the really big ones wrong. And I think people should hold him accountable for that. But I think overall, Romney needed something, and I think when you have the Weekly Standard and Fox News and really beltway conservatives apprehensive about your campaign, the fact that you're announcing your running mate at the crack of dawn on a Saturday during the Olympics, he understands they needed something desperate. I think it helps stop the bleeding. It gives him some time to make his case to people like this. But you know what's ironic, if you read the Fox News poll, folks, what is so ironic about this is the very people that the establishment told us we had to support Romney to get were those dreaded independents in the middle. He is hemorrhaging independents in that Fox News poll. If you look at the internals of the Fox News poll on Thursday, Romney beats Obama by 12 points on the issue of the economy. Yet he trails Obama by 11 points to the same voters. And when they asked those voters why, the top two reasons they gave, I kid you not, he flip-flops too much and he's phony/dishonest. So he has some serious, I heard Dr. White, when I was out there in the atrium giving his talk, and he used the word credibility and integrity. He used those words a lot about our own Christian witness. Governor Romney has 87 days. He needs to establish credibility and integrity with the American people. And I think that's the reason why, if you go on Intrade, those are the really smart speculators, the best future market predictors in the world. They think there's a 60% chance the Republicans will take control of the Senate as of today, and only a 39% chance Mitt Romney will win the presidency. And that is why he has a long battle to restore credibility with the American people ahead of him.
Jan, what do you say about Paul Ryan?
Well, the one issue that you heard Congressman Steve King talking about with the pen, and the very moment when the new president decided he should use that pen to strike out Obamacare. On that one issue, you'll remember a couple of years ago, they had a White House conference, and they had the Republicans on one side, and they had the president on the other side, and they were trying to negotiate some kind of a public meeting of the minds on this, and Paul Ryan systematically, in less than 5 minutes, dismantled the logic, the reason, the legality, the budget criteria, and the sustainability of anything related to Obamacare. And he did it in a winsome, respectful, and polite, and highly professional way. That burned a message into my brain. This guy is good, and we need somebody like that in charge.
Than perhaps Steve and I. It would be great to be able to talk for another half hour on this topic, but I'll get right to the point. I'm tickled to death that Paul Ryan is the vice presidential pick. I don't think that Mitt Romney's campaign was as ill-fated, or shall we say Shakespeareanly tragic as others might, but I do think that this is a tremendous move. I think it is now solidifies his some of the bona fides perhaps that we needed to hear, and I think Paul Ryan is I would pay big money to see him in the debate with Joe Biden. I can't.
We're keeping this on time, because I think Fox News is coming. We're keeping this on time. But if you guys could give, I mean, you've been at the Leadership Summit now for a couple of hours, and you kind of hear the vision, mission of it. If there's one takeaway that this audience should take away, what's the takeaway you would hope that they leave with today?
I have a one verse of scripture, Isaiah 6:8. Who shall I send? Send me. Get up off your butts and go do something about this, and do one more thing. If you put a sign in your yard, go knock on doors, write a check, get out here. You show your enthusiasm here. I expect you to do one more thing. And you'll find out once you do one more thing, guess what? You'll have to do one more thing.
I've been hanging around Baptists for the last couple of years, and they've had a bad influence on me. I repent. But I've mastered the three-point outline. Point number 1, Acts 1:11. Why stand ye gazing up? Get your head out of the clouds, get in the game. Luke 19:13, occupy till I come. Christians are the Occupy movement. That does not mean city parks in tents or sitting in complaining in Harkin's office. That means we are supposed to take control of every stinking jurisdiction within our grasp. It belongs to us. We should be owning it. We should be occupying it until we get called home. And point number 3, 1 Peter said, gird, very first verse in 1 Peter. I love the King James. Gird the loins of your mind. Which means get your brains in the game. And we will outthink them, and as he said, we're going to outwork them. And then with Steve, we're going to outsnot them. It's one of the lesser appreciated gifts in the Spirit.
You know, my encouragement to you, I want to leave you with 2 words that I think are vitally important. And again, I think this might be my own generational bias, because I know what train is coming down the tracks with my generation, and you don't even want to know what follows me. You don't even want to know what's in most of your own youth ministries. You really don't want to know. And this again goes back to what Dr. White told you a little while ago. Our integrity and credibility as a church is shot in this culture. We have dumbed down our own standards and expectations. We told people, hey, the baby's a little bit less dead if the Republican kills it. My money's a little bit less stolen if the Republican takes it. If you're going to stand for absolute standards, if you're going to say, I stand in the eternal kingdom of the Lord Jesus Christ, then you have to apply those absolutes to you and your own side. Frankly, first. Judgment begins in the house of God first. Do not worry about the speck of dust in your brother's eye without looking at the plank in your own eye first. And we are, listen, in older generations that still broadly accept a lot of what we're talking about here, these discussions are probably not important. But in future generations, if you are one of those 86% of Americans in a Rasmussen poll last week that said you don't believe your children and grandchildren will live better than you did, or in other words, you don't believe in the American dream anymore. Let me tell you, you won't get it back by compromising your values for worldly gain. I can promise you that. You must hold